Temperature readings are nice and cool again outside today. Really, it was cold earlier this morning, but we made a little better recovery during the afternoon than what we did yesterday. 63 degrees currently in Greenville, 63 in Kinston, 61 in New Bern, 62 degrees in Beaufort, a little cooler over in Cape Hatteras. All is dry from Roanoke Rapids all the way down south into Beaufort and under mostly clear skies tonight. Temperatures will have no problem at all, dropping back into the mid-30s. Do be on the lookout for some patchy frost. There will be a possibility of that again. Now, looking forward to the upcoming weekend, we have an area of low pressure that may attempt to bring some coastal showers into the mix. We'll talk about the possibilities in your forecast coming up. The longest running newscast in the East starts now.
On your side, this is WNCT 9 News at 6.
Now at 6, details into why the city of Jacksonville is being sued over its current ward system.
Plus, experts are watching the state Senate race, what a new ECU poll shows.
And early voting is underway across North Carolina, a live report from the polls. And that's where we begin this evening on your local election headquarters. Good evening, everyone. I'm Ken Watlington.
And I'm Angie Casada. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, we have everything you need to know for the first day of early voting.
People have been out voting all day, and 9 on your side's Aaron Jenkins live now after being at the polls all day. So, Aaron, how has the turnout been on this first day?
Yeah, Ken, you said it. I've really been at several different Pitt County polling locations for most of the day. And what I can tell you guys is there's been a steady stream of people coming in and out of polling locations pretty much all day long, especially here at the Alice Key location in Pitt County. And election officials say they just expect this same great turnout for the rest of early voting.
No big lines. I remember last year it was wrapped around and on down the street, so it's good to come in and get it done.
The convenience of early voting is bringing lines of voters out. And the Pitt County Board of Elections is prepared to keep the process easy and the lines moving.
We prepped our poll workers for some of the common questions about the voting machine, how it works.
Dave Davis, the director of elections in Pitt County, reminds voters to also prepare.
Do your research before you go in, know who you want to vote for, because every contest that's on that ballot is important. A lot of times you'll see the contests further down the ballot, and those are generally our local contests, county commissioners, board of education, soil and water, and those are just as important as those, at the top of the ballots.
Some voters say there's issues on the ballot bringing them out this election season.
This is a very important election, and I was just ready to go ahead and take the opportunity to vote.
It's for my family to make sure we're putting the right people in place to make good decisions for our community, local government.
For a midterm election, local officials are hoping people will vote in record numbers.
We've issued and received more absentees than any previous midterm. If one stop carries through with that, we should see a pretty good turnout. I'm hoping between 35 to 40,000.
Sites here in Pitt County will close at 7:30 tonight, and early voting across North Carolina will run through November 5th. So if you want to vote tonight, you still have about an hour and a half to do so, or you have the next few weeks to come out to early vote. Live in Greenville, Aaron Jenkins, 9 on your side.
Aaron, thanks. And early voting locations are open in counties all across the East. In Carteret County, you have 3 to choose from. There's the Board of Elections office in Beaufort, Fort Benjamin Park in Newport, and another is open at the Western Park in Cedar Point. In Lenoir County, you have a few more options. Those locations include the Livestock Arena at the Cooperative Extension, the Neuse Regional Library, and the Kinston Community Center, among others in Kinston. There is one location in LaGrange at the Frink Alumni Center.
Kinston Teens is celebrating their 8th anniversary with a Popcorn at the Polls event. They have music, giveaways, drinks, and of course popcorn. It's going on right now at another polling site, the Martin Freeman Recreation Center. They've been out there all day and will be until 7:30 this evening.
Of course, the big race everyone in our state is eyeing is the race for the open U.S. Senate seat. Democrat Sherry Beasley casting her ballot after headlining a voting kickoff event today in Raleigh. She was there with Governor Roy Cooper and other elected officials. The Senate hopeful talked about the importance of this election.
Good paying jobs coming to North Carolina. It's on the ballot. Rights for workers on the ballot. Abortion is on the ballot.
Beasley's opponent, Republican Ted Budd, has not said whether or not he plans to vote early or on Election Day. State Republican leaders, however, are pushing people to get out and vote early and vote Republican.
And East Carolina University is conducting their own poll for that race. Their most recent poll shows Budd with the 6-point advantage. Budd is showing 50% of voters, Beasley 44%, and 5% undecided. But what's surprising is this poll finds Budd has found more women voters recently.
Ted Budd was behind Sherry Beasley by 11 percentage points among women in September. He now trails Sherry Beasley only by 2 percentage points among women, and that's allowed him to expand his lead from 3 percentage points in September to 6 percentage points in our current October poll.
The poll surveyed 902 voters in the state through phone, landlines, and cell phones, and through an online platform. And we want to hear from you about these surveys. In our Vote Now on 9 poll, we're asking, do election surveys influence your vote? To vote, just head over to WNCT.com/vote or go to the free 9 on your side mobile app and find Vote Now on 9 in the menu. You can also check out that QR code right there at the bottom of your screen.
To Onslow County now, where early voting there is off to a good start. The Board of Elections director says within the first 2 hours of opening, they had around 300 voters hit the polls. They had their most popular sites so far have been the Jacksonville Commons and the Board of Elections office.
I would love for it to be 100% turnout, so that would be around 117,000 voters coming out and vote. We got ballots, we're ready for you, so turn out and we'll see you at the polls.
And they're open from 8 in the morning until 7:30 at night, Monday through Friday, and 8 till 3 on Saturdays. That's until November 5th. They also want to remind residents that they cannot vote at the Board of Elections on Election Day.
New today, the city of Jacksonville and the Onslow County Board of Elections are being sued. 3 residents are challenging the current ward system, claiming it's racially discriminatory and unconstitutional. 9 on your side, Cheyenne Pagan spoke with both sides on this issue. She's joining us now outside of the Jacksonville City Hall with more about the suit and the responses of those involved. Cheyenne.
The current ward system has been in place for more than 30 years, and following the 2020 census and the redistricting that followed, some residents are hoping for change in how it operates.
On one side of town, you need 1,100 votes to win an election, where on the other side of town, maybe 120. It's not fair and it's not right. In this day and age, we don't need to discriminate on the basis of race in Jacksonville.
Former County Commissioner Joe McLaughlin is one of 3 plaintiffs in this lawsuit. He claims the current 4 geographic wards are using the base population to racially gerrymander the election system in Jacksonville.
It's fundamentally an issue of fairness. Why should people on one side of town be treated differently than somebody on the other side of town?
The lawsuit names the city of Jacksonville, city council members, and the Onslow County Board of Elections as defendants. I spoke with the city attorney who told me they will work to defend the ward system they believe benefits the city and its citizens.
Right now, we are confident that the ward system, as we have gone through the redistricting process, is legally defensible, and we look forward to letting the federal court judge hear the case and make a ruling.
I also spoke with the former mayor who was in office when the ward system was put in place in 1990. He says the system helps give minority members of the community a voice in city council.
If you want to change the mode of election in the city of Jacksonville, run for city council or encourage those you know that agree with you to run for city council and make the change at the ballot box, not the courthouse.
I did also reach out to the Onslow County Board of Elections for a comment. They said they were unable to provide one at this time. We will continue to follow this story. Stay with us on air and on our website as we learn more. Live in Jacksonville, Cheyenne Pagan 9 on your side.
Cheyenne, thanks. Don't forget to stay up to date on all of the races here in the East and across the state. Head to our website. This is the Your Local Election Headquarters tab. There you can find more voting resources and where you can vote. And come election night, which is less than 3 weeks away now, you can keep up to date on all the races and the results as they come in real time. The Lenore County Sheriff's Office is on the scene of a shooting on Noose Road. Investigators say they were called to the scene just after 2 o'clock for a possible trespasser. Before 3, another person called 911 saying deputies needed help because the person they were dealing with was, quote, out of control. We're told a resident did shoot at the alleged trespasser because he felt the deputies needed help. The person shot was taken to the hospital by EMS. Their condition isn't known right now. The sheriff's office says this was not an officer-involved shooting. No arrest or charges have been filed so far.
There are new details in last week's mass shooting in the Hedingham neighborhood of Raleigh. The police department releasing their 5-day report, which gives a specific timeline on how it all unfolded. In the preliminary report, the first call came in around 5:09. Investigators say the suspect's brother was found with a gunshot wound and stab wounds inside the family home.
I got a 16-year-old male down in the bathroom. The suspect, we believe, is inside the barn with a closed white door.
After almost 2 hours of searching, officers found the suspect near 2 barn-like structures off of McConnell Oliver Drive. After exchanging gunfire, investigators say the suspect was found lying on the ground with a gunshot wound. The SBI is investigating the actions of the officers and their use of force. Raleigh police are continuing their investigation into the actions of the suspect.
Happening right now, the Domestic Violence Network is hosting a candlelight vigil. It's to honor the victims who've lost their lives to domestic violence here in Pitt County. It's going on right now in Superior Courtroom 1 at the Pitt County Courthouse.
Still ahead on WNCT 9 News at 6, how one school is continuing to honor the lives lost in Beirut nearly 40 years later.
Also coming up next, your complete Storm Team 9 7-day forecast as we move into the upcoming weekend. Some temperature changes moving in. We'll talk about it next.